You were at Harvard, 2002.
Yes.
When you, I guess, coined this acronym that later became a word. I was down the street in Cambridge, we were both in Cambridge, at MIT, where we were doing real work. No, I'm just joking. But talk to me about this word and how it came up and then how it kind of went viral and just the whole story behind it. Because it is interesting because it really tells your story.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I mean, just for background, I'm from a small town in Maine. I grew up in a very middle class, kind of normal people kind of world, and I found myself at Harvard, the business school, and I had worked on Wall Street, so I had been around sort of rarefied airs and had been doing this more sort of interesting glamour jet set life, but I'm a pretty simple guy at heart. And when I got to HBS, what I saw was that my classmates and I, we were the ultimate in optimizers. And this was before Facebook. So we didn't have any social media to blame. We had something called Friendster, which I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah, it's in the movie, it's in the Facebook movie, right?
Yeah,
Friendster
I think
was there
so,
when
yeah.
Zuckerberg went in? Okay, yeah.
And so Zuckerberg, he was also at Harvard across the river.
When you were there?
Yeah, he was,
crazy.
in fact, he stayed in my friend Claire Marwick's summer, over the summer, he stayed in her dorm at HBS. So he was over there starting Facebook. I was over at the business school, and we spent our weekends running around trying to go to every event. It's like, let's go to the first party here, the drinks thing here, the dinner there. And so I'd have 5 or 6 things a night, starting at 6 and ending at 2 in the morning and getting up at 7 a.m. for class. And it was crazy. And
were you networking or were you just a social guy?
Yeah, network. I mean, my view was I studied so hard in college. I was the guy who would have a beer at a party and then go to the library.
After?
Yes.
I've tried that, it's hard.
Well,
that was at Georgetown.
It made everything a little more interesting.
Okay.
But at Georgetown, and so I decided in business school I was going to meet as many people as I could. And so many of my classmates were the same. We'd been living in big cities. We were used to going out and meeting people and being social. And so we were doing all of this, and we didn't want to miss out on anything. And so I had all these friends, and in our ski house, we would talk about FOMO and something else called FOBO, or fear of a better option, which is when you don't commit to anything. So it's like, what are you doing for dinner Friday? You want to have dinner? Yeah, like let's soft circle that. I'll get back to you.
Right, 'cause something better might come up.
Exactly. It's the person you're at the cocktail party and they're looking around to see who's
right.
they're going to talk to next. And so I wrote this article for the Harvard Business newspaper called the Harvest, and I called it McGinnis's Two Foes. Social theory at HBS, and I talked about FOMO and FOBO. And then the combination of the two is FODA, or fear of doing anything. And I talked about how it paralyzed our society. It was kind of a jokey article, but people really liked it. It went semi-viral at the time, but this was before anything went viral, right? We're talking 2003, 2004. But over the years, it kind of took on a life of its own, and I didn't really notice it. And then in 2000 and I guess 14, 13, around there, a reporter for Boston Magazine called me up, and I just happened to be in Boston for reunions, and he said, I'm writing an article about FOMO, and I traced it back to you, and he showed me the evidence that I was on the internet with this term 3 years before anybody else, and so I realized. And then I started reading about it, and I found an academic study about somebody who'd written about it and coined that I'd credited me with it, and it sort of just took off, and then
so it was like a virus, you could trace it back to you.
Yeah,
you were
exactly.
Like
I was patient zero.
Okay, and then you could see it spread.
Yeah, precisely.
Okay.
And Zuckerberg was there at the same time, so it sort of came out of Cambridge. I'm surprised that you didn't, steal that from me early on.
I was there 10 years earlier. And you guys were doing the social thing too. So, and it spread socially, right?
Yeah.
People talking to other people.
Exactly.
I mean, I remember, I think I heard Tim Ferriss use it years ago, and I think it was maybe more of a word in venture capital too,
Yes.
as well? Okay.
And people, there's a woman named Katerina Flake who wrote an article about it in 2010 that went sort of viral, and people have said, oh, you started FOMO, and I'm sort of like, here's the webpage from 2004. But it's one of those things, they never give you a certificate when you coin a phrase, so you have to sort of go back and look at the evidence. But yeah, it's my unexpected little baby.
Right, and to the core, what does it mean to the average person watching this FOMO? If you had to kind of break it down, what is the essence of it?
So fear of missing out is something, we live in a time where we have more options than we've ever had before, professionally, personally, socially, and we are aware of those options because technology allows us to understand what's going on in the world around us and what we're missing. And so for me, FOMO is the awareness of all of the options that we have and the understanding that no matter what we do, we'll never be able to sort of enjoy all of them.
Okay, and that can paralyze us. And that comes because we're trying to over-curate our lives.
Yes.
Is that it?
Optimization. So it's
Okay.
It is the idea. You know that friend of yours who you go into the restaurant, you sit down, and then they sort of look around and say, yeah, I wish we were over there. And then they want to hop tables.
Yeah, I'm that guy sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, aren't we all?
I'm very feng shui.
That's FOMO, right? And
Okay.
so I think you can end up in a situation, and I do this all the time. I have a trick. I don't have my watch with me today, but I will oftentimes just say, if the number's on even, I'll do this. If it's on odd, I'll do this. Because I spend so much of my time worrying about decisions that are completely inconsequential.
Okay, right, and that causes anxiety, and you're not present, and all these other bad
Exactly.
things.
It's just
Okay.
wasted time and energy.
Okay, so you've learned from coining those phrases not to do these kinds of things.
I'd like to think I've learned 100%, but of course, I mean, we all go through that. I think my struggle these days is with the FOMO. It's the idea that, you know, I have something in hand, but I'm waiting to figure out which is going to be best for me later on. And I struggle. That's the worst one, by the way, because it's very rude and inconsiderate. So
Right.
I try to be more sensitive to that. FOMO, I feel like at this point, I'm at the point in my life where I kind of know what I'm looking for. So I tend to basically say, yeah, it's okay, I've done that already, or I don't really want to do that.
Continue watching this fascinating conversation for free by clicking on the link below to visit our website, learn from the best minds in the world, and connect with a community of passionate people building the best versions of themselves. Just click on the link below, and I'll see you on the inside.